So I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, and I used to think that hiring people for your business was only for like big businesses, like corporations, or even like businesses with like brick and mortars. But for me, reselling just kept getting pushed to the back burner. I just wasn't having time between all my other sources of income, which I rely on more than reselling. I just wasn't listing consistently. And let's be real, if you're not listing consistently, you're not going to sell anything, obviously. So I needed to find some way to make reselling work. And I decided to try hiring a virtual assistant. And now I have done it a couple of times over the last couple of years. I will use one as I need them, and then once I have a little more time, I'll take over myself. And today I want to talk about how I actually go about finding a VA because people have been asking. I did a video a while back, I will link to it here, about hiring a VA for my business, but I haven't really talked about how I actually find them and hire them. So today I'm going to talk to you about exactly that. This video is actually sponsored by Upwork, and when they reached out to me, I was super excited because I was already planning on doing this video, and I have used Upwork many times to hire virtual assistants and other freelancers to help me with my businesses in the past. So this is a perfect kind of partnership for this video. And I'm excited to show you exactly how I find my VAs in Upwork. So if you're not familiar with Upwork, it's basically like a freelancer marketplace where you can find people to help you with your business. It's not just for virtual assistants. You can find graphic designers, bookkeepers, freelance writers. There are all kinds of job listings on there, so you can post on there for pretty much anything that you're looking for. The thing I like about Upwork is you're not just kind of going in blind. You post your job on Upwork, people apply for it, you kind of decide which one is best, but once you hire them, you still go to Upwork and you pay them through Upwork, and it keeps everything safe and fair and just really organized. So I really love hiring freelancers on Upwork. It just makes it really easy to hire people for my business when I need them. I've actually hired people on Upwork, but also worked on Upwork, so I've seen both sides of it and I highly recommend it. It just makes everything really simple and streamlined. First, I want to briefly talk about why I decided to jump in and get a VA, because obviously it's not free, so it is going to cut into the profit of my business. And for me, that was okay, because when it gets to the point where I'm not listing consistently, I'm not making very much money anyway. So if someone can help me kind of boost my income by actually getting listings done, then it's worth the investment for me. I was just finding that I was sourcing a bunch of stuff and then it was just sitting there. Sometimes I'd take photos and I just would never get around to listing. So having a virtual assistant that helps me list really makes it a lot easier. They basically take the pictures that I take and create drafts for me in Vendoo, which is what I use to kind of as kind of a dashboard for my business and where I cross list to other marketplaces from. And then I will go through the draft, make sure everything looks okay, decide on my pricing, make any changes that are necessary, and make the item live. So it really just takes me a couple of minutes per item to get that item listed because I already have drafts in my Vendoo account, which is amazing. So if you're finding that listing is just taking too long for you, or you simply just don't have the time to list, this might be an option for you. I personally pay my VA right now about $1 per listing. I have paid anywhere from $1 to $2 per listing. It just depends on the VA you get. So I've kind of talked about how I personally use my VA. Like I said in that other video, I kind of go over what I do to kind of get my VA all the things that she needs and how the process works. But today I just want to talk about actually hiring a VA. So I'm going to jump onto the computer and show you exactly how I log into Upwork and how to make a listing for a VA. I'll show you an example. I should be able to see my past posts so you can see how I list things when I'm looking for a VA myself. Okay, now we're in my Upwork account, and as you can see, I've worked with lots of people on here, most of them from the Philippines. That I like to hire from the Philippines. I'm half Filipino. I like to support them, but also they have a lower cost of living and English is very well known there, so there's not as much of a language barrier as with other countries. So I don't know. I like hiring Filipinos. They're my people. So now let's go over and look at a previous job post. It won't let me show you the most recent one. I don't know why. So I'm just going to look at this one from 6 years ago. Clearly I've been using Upwork for a while. And we're going to click on view job post. And this is just going to give you an example of what I wrote. I don't even honestly remember what I put here, but this is just an example of a listing. So I said I need an experienced eBay lister who can look at photos and create eBay listings for me from the photos. Must be able to list 50 to 150 items per week. This is when I was full-time, so I need a lot of help with a lot of items. You'll be provided the photos with Dropbox and create the listing in InkFrog. I no longer use InkFrog. I use Vendoo now. I expect you to be able to list a minimum of 12 items per hour, so your internet must be reliable, must have experience using InkFrog. Please put the words Diet Coke at the top of your cover letter so I know you read the description. That's a little trick that I use. because some people will just mass send out cover letters or like applications, I guess. And so if you have them put that, you know that they actually read the description, and I don't want to hire anybody who's not going to actually just like read the listing. And so what happens is you post that and then you wait for people to respond. You can go ahead and invite freelancers if you see any that you like to invite, but you can also review proposals as they come in. And this is what it will look like. So you'll see their name, you'll see like what their title is or what they do, their job success, their completed jobs, how many hours they've worked, how much they've earned. So you can just kind of see how reputable they are on the platform. I prefer to hire somebody who has some experience on the platform, who has a really good job success rating and some completed jobs, so that I know that they are actually going to do a good job and stick with it and not just like drop out. So the way you're going to do this, I'm just going to show you real quick. I don't want to make this like the longest video ever. Is we're going to go to hire talent and we're going to hit post job. I'm not actually going to post a listing because I already have a lister right now. And we're going to click long-term project. And then let's move my face over here. We're going to click continue. And then we're going to write, I need someone to help me list items on eBay. And see, I've never actually used this kind of like AI version of it. So for the budget, you can hire people hourly. I prefer to pay per listing. So I usually just do fixed price, and then I will just say like $50, and then people will reply. Obviously, I'm not just going to pay them $50, but I will let them know in the listing what I want to pay and ask them what they prefer to be paid. All right. So this, I guess they have AI now that helps you write your listing. So it says eBay listing specialist needed. So you could say that. I would personally, that sounds a little stiff for me. So experienced eBay lister. Oops, I just knocked it right. eBay lister. Or if you're doing eBay and Poshmark lister. And then we are going to edit this, and I like to be less paragraphy and more bullet points. So we are seeking experienced eBay specialist to assist with listing items in our eBay store. So this is all great. You could totally leave it like this, but I'm just going to make it simple because I like simple. So I'm going to say, I'm looking for an experienced eBay and Poshmark lister for my small business. The ideal candidate will be able to list 50 items per week from photos. And then I will sometimes do like qualifications, or you must be able to list 50 items per week. Know how to use keywords, SEO for optimal listings or optimized listings. I'm just kind of going on the fly here, guys. What else do we want? I'm trying to think of what else I usually say. I don't know. I'll usually say some other stuff, and then I'll usually say something like bonus. You experience with Vendoo, since I use Vendoo. If you are interested in this job and meet the qualification, please respond and use the word, I don't know, wolf in the first sentence. So I know that you read the description or read the listing completely. I would probably write a little bit more, but I don't want to make this longest video ever, so I will save changes. I just like to make it simple. And then for category, I guess data entry, I think it would be more like e-commerce. Let me see. I haven't done this in a while. E-commerce management, maybe let's go with that. And then skills, it already filled in eBay listing, eBay marketing, data entry, all of that. I don't know if I can add Poshmark to that. Do you think Poshmark is on here? Nope. We can just add Poshmark. Product listings. Oh, we didn't put, and then at the end we can say my budget is $1.50 per listing or something. And then I forgot to put that. So, and then the scope, this is just how long you plan on it being. Location preferences, I usually do just the Philippines just because I'm used to working with Filipinos, but you can do worldwide if you want. Budget, I just leave it at whatever because like I said, we're paying per listing. And then one person, and then I like to do screening questions. So these are questions that they have some, So you can always say like, I want to know, describe your recent experience. I guess these two. And then I would say, have you listed on eBay before? Poshmark. Save question. And then I would say, do you have experience with Vendoo? And I usually ask something like, are you available to list at least 50 items per week? Just to kind of reiterate, those are the things that I need. And then advanced preferences, you can decide what you want to put here. I usually will say conversational or better. I need less than 30 hours a week. Hire date within 1 week. And then job success score, I try to do 80 and above. And I would like someone that has earned at least $100 so they are familiar with the platform. They're actually doing some work and they're not just applying for things. And I'd have to go find another person later if they're not really into it. You can do job preferences, all of that, and then we click next and click finalize job post. And then you can review it. I don't do that. I just do a standard blog post. I don't actually want to post mine, so we're just going to save the draft. Maybe we can look at it real quick. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And then people will start applying. Usually within 24 hours, I have a decent amount of applicants, and I will choose somebody, and I will usually do a test run. I will have them do like 5 listings and see how they do. I'll maybe choose a couple of people to do 5 listings and choose the person that I like the best. So let's go back to the big screen. So that's exactly how I create my listings in Upwork. I really like to keep it simple, but you do want to also be clear in what you want. That's why I like the kind of like bullet points, just because people can skim that easily. They won't miss anything in multiple paragraphs. And then, like I said, I put that little like code word at the bottom to make sure that they actually read it. And I kind of dismiss anybody who doesn't do the code word because that means they didn't fully read my very short description. So I have hired over a dozen people on Upwork, and it's always a great experience. Not everybody fits what I need, but if you are smart about hiring people and you're clear about what you want and you give them kind of like a test, it can work out really well. And obviously there is a cost associated with it. You have to pay them, and there are some Upwork fees. I believe it just depends on what plan you're on Upwork, but it is a pretty minimal fee. And it is totally worth it for me to have somebody helping me list in my business because I just don't have the time. It saves me so much time. And when I wake up one morning and there's 20 more listings sitting as drafts in my Vendoo, that is motivation for me to get those things listed versus me waking up to pictures and having to list them myself. And then I just don't want to do it. So that is how I do it. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. Again, this video is sponsored by Upwork. I think it is a great platform for you, whether you're hiring people or you're looking for jobs. I use it for both, like I said. Lastly, I'm going to give you some tips for hiring people on Upwork. I've kind of mentioned all of these, but I just want to list them one more time for you. So the first thing is to be very clear in what you want. Be very clear, do those bullet points, let them know what you expect from them, how much work you're planning to give them, what tools they're going to need access to or experience with, and what you're planning on paying them. Or you can even give a range based on experience. When you do get all those proposals, I say wait at least like a day or two because there will be a lot coming in over the first couple of days, and you can go through and sort people. You can look through their things and you can add them to your short list because those are the people you really like, or you can like thumbs down people. They won't see the thumbs down, but it just kind of like sorts them to the bottom because those are people that are not meeting your qualifications or you don't like for whatever reason. For me, sometimes the right one is really obvious, but you do need to give it some time and not just go with those first couple of people that apply. The next thing is to start small. Like I said, have them do like maybe 1, 2, or 5 listings. Maybe don't give them access to all of your stuff right away and just have them type out how they would do the titles and the descriptions and how they would list it for you. That might be an easier way to kind of test them out to make sure that they know what they're doing. They know how to use keywords, they know how to describe things and all of that. Another thing you could do is once you do hire someone, it's really great to use something like Loom or some sort of screen sharing thing to train them. It makes it a lot easier if someone can see what you're doing and how you do it. So using something like Loom to share your screen and kind of go through a listing exactly how you want it is really helpful to make sure that they're going to do things right, because they're not going to know, they're not in your head. They don't know exactly how you want things. So you have to kind of spell things out. And sometimes you do have to kind of like correct the way they're working or the way they're doing things because they don't know how you do things until you show them. And then figure out how you're going to give them access to your accounts. Right now I use Google Drive, so I upload pictures to Google Drive. Every time I take photos, I put the date as the folder name, and then I stick all those photos in that folder, and I give my VA access to those photos, and she simply uses those photos. It's usually clothing, so she can see what kind of clothing it is, what color it is, what brand, what size, all that information that she needs, and she will build out listings for me in Vendoo. That's the other thing, is I use Vendoo. I always have a link in the description below. And I have her do my listings in Vendoo. That way she doesn't have access to my eBay or my Poshmark. And I'm not saying that I don't trust her. It's just that you need to keep that information close and you want to keep people out of your account. So if she's just in Vendoo, she only has access to my listings in Vendoo and none of my payment information or any of those other important things that are actually in the marketplaces. So just kind of being smart about your process, outlining the way you want to do it, and just being safe is really important. And the last thing is to communicate regularly, kind of touch bases with them. If they're not doing something quite right, just say it. Don't move on to the next person. Sometimes people need a little bit of training, like I said. But also, if someone is not working out and they're just not worth the money for you, move on and try somebody else. You can always put up a new listing or go back to your old listing and hire someone else. That's an option on Upwork. So you might have to go through a couple of people to find the right one for you, but once you find a really good listing assistant, it is literally so nice. So hopefully you found this video helpful if you are looking for ways to hire for your reselling business. Like I said, I use Upwork all the time. They are the sponsor of this video, and I highly recommend it if you are looking for someone to help you list on eBay or Poshmark or any of those platforms. I will leave a link down to Upwork in the description below for you to go check it out if you want to try it yourself. If you have any questions, always leave comments. I try to respond to every single comment. Thanks again to Upwork for sponsoring this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.